Good evening and thank you for joining us for KREM 2 News at 5. I'm Mark Hanrahan.
And I'm Whitney Ward.
And then they just shimmied this off, cut the whole power.
We begin tonight with brazen thieves that were caught on camera cutting the power to Mary Lou's milk bottle in the Garland district before breaking in overnight. The business had to close today as a result, but they are working to get back open.
KREM 2's Nathan Hyun is live at the business right now. And Nathan, you spoke with the owner, right?
Well, Mark, Whitney, good evening. And these closed today signs, which are still up at the milk bottle, there's some good news. These windows, which were cracked just less than 24 hours ago, are now fixed. And his local family favorite, which has been in the Garland district for less than just about 100 years, is now recovering. So last night, sometime after 8 p.m., thieves broke into Mary Lou's milk bottle in the Garland district. And the owner says the suspects cut the power, which melted and spoiled much of their food products like the ice cream. The suspects stole the ATM and safe box inside the business, and the milk bottle says repairs could be in the thousands and are working with insurance to price out the damages. A business owner tells me he plans to launch a GoFundMe, and the owner says he's trying to open up as soon as tomorrow.
This door's damaged, the glass is damaged, everything's gone. You know, it was too soft to serve.
The milk bottle was originally built in 1935 along with a sister location downtown. It originally operated as a retail dairy until the 1970s. Now it's a diner with milkshakes, burgers, and sandwiches. And the Spokane Police Department tell me they're currently working the case, and at this moment, no suspects have been found. Live in the Garland District, Nathan Hyun, KREM 2 News.
The man who is accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students in 2022 was back in Latah County Court this afternoon.
Still no trial date set for Brian Kohberger, but we do have some idea when it may happen, and that is March 3rd of 2025, more than a year away. But there are many other issues the judge wants to consider first, including a change of venue hearing. KREM 2's chief journalist Amanda Rowley was in the courtroom for several hours today. She joins us live now with what happened. Amanda?
Yeah, Mark and Whitney, the defense attorney for suspect Brian Kohberger has not yet officially filed a motion to move this trial out of Latah County. Now, the defense attorney explained to the judge today the previous motion she filed was only to put everyone on notice that that is a request that her office will be pursuing. Meantime, they have until mid-April to file that motion. Meanwhile, the judge is expecting to hear arguments for a change of venue at a hearing on March 14th. Now, defense attorney Ann Taylor says she would rather determine a change of venue sooner rather than later. She argues it doesn't make sense to set the trial and then at the last second decide to change the venue. Now, the state says, though, it's premature to discuss a change of venue so far from a trial date. Latah County Prosecutor Bill Thompson says the court should be able to determine what impacts such as publicity will have on the actual jury pool.
There has to be a showing that that publicity or whatever has impacted the juror to the point where that juror cannot sit in this box as a fair and impartial juror and make a decision based only on the evidence presented in this courtroom. That's the issue that Your Honor is going to have to decide on the change of venue question. And you can't do that based on a bunch of affidavits from experts who say, Judge, there's been a lot of publicity.
There are other considerations besides just the massive amount of media and an impact on potential jurors. That's what we're going to talk about. I think it's timely. I think it's appropriate to set a change of venue motion. I think it is what makes the most sense for the court to make that determination and set a trial date from there.
Now, the judge says he wants to make an informed decision about changing the venue, which is why he wants to see the defense, their presentation of arguments, and fully recognizing, though, that he can still deny that request. Still, the judge said he would prefer to keep the trial here in Latah County. Now, as for the trial date, that has yet to be determined. However, today, the state did propose a trial date of March 3rd next year. But again, that won't be determined until after that change of venue hearing in May of this year. Reporting in Moscow, Amanda Rowley, KREM 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. And if you want the latest on the case against Brian Kohberger, just head to KREM 2 Plus. KREM 2 Plus is free to download on YouTube, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.
The U.S. Supreme Court has agreed to decide whether former President Donald Trump can claim presidential immunity over criminal election interference charges.
The court says it'll hear arguments in April with a decision likely no later than the end of June. This marks the second time in a month that justices have weighed in on a case with implications for Trump. Earlier this month, the court heard arguments over whether Trump can be excluded from Colorado's primary ballot over his actions surrounding the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol.
And just into our newsroom minutes ago, an Illinois judge is now ordering the state's Board of Election to remove former President Trump from the primary ballot. This is all in response to the 14th Amendment's so-called insurrectionist ban and Trump's alleged involvement in that attack on the Capitol. Illinois becoming now the third state to remove Trump from the ballot. Of course, this is a developing story. We'll have more on this on KREM 2 News tonight at 6.
All right, let's switch gears and take a first look at the forecast with Chief Meteorologist Jeremy Legoo.
So, Jeremy, it sounds like you're talking about some areas seeing really strong wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour.
I think that is going to happen just a little bit later on this evening. It looks very similar to what we saw, say, back on Sunday. Right now, our wind is starting to pick up, and we've already seen some pretty strong wind gusts across the region. For us, it's sustained out of the south at 16 miles per hour with wind and rain continuing. We're at 43 degrees. Those temperatures are going to keep climbing, but what's likely is we hit our high and then start dropping throughout the day tomorrow. Snow still coming down over the mountains, and for that reason, those winter storm warnings remain in place. But as Whitney mentioned, a lot of wind is expected. Strongest of that wind out in central Washington, but even here in Spokane, we'll see a gust up around 45 miles per hour, and that is expected. There's the rain. Rain continues to fall across much of the eastern portion of the state. Snow up in the mountains. Putting things in motion, you can see the rain just kind of continues all night long. We don't really catch a break, but here's what's interesting. Watch tomorrow morning. Starts out as rain down low, and then as the cold starts seeping in, rain turns to snow. Those snow levels creep back down to about 2,500 feet. So if you have snow on the ground from this morning now, you're likely going to see snow tomorrow afternoon. If you have clear ground now or grass and dirt, you're going to see rain all day tomorrow. Does that make sense? I hope it does.
I got it. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Well, the planned execution of Idaho's death row inmate Thomas Creech has now been called off.
Idaho's longest standing death row inmate is sitting in his cell tonight after the Idaho Department of Corrections says they could not find a vein for lethal injection.
In an hour-long process, officials say the medical team tried to hit a vein in both of his arms and legs before finally calling off the execution for today. The corrections director told the media afterwards that it wasn't a difficult decision. He said it was the right decision.
I think it would be wrong to call it a failure. They did their level best in a professional way that was respectful of the process. And when it appeared that those efforts were going to be unsuccessful, they did the right thing and opted to stop additional efforts so that we could evaluate next steps.
Right now, it is unclear when the execution will be carried out, but Creech's death warrant will expire tonight. 6 Idaho officials, including Attorney General Raul Labrador, and 4 news media representatives, including an Associated Press reporter, were on hand to witness today's attempt.
Now, Creech has already been found guilty of murdering 5 people. He claims he has killed at least 42 people in his lifetime, though that has never been confirmed.
Creech has been on death row for nearly 50 years. In 1974, he was convicted of killing 2 people in Valley County and sentenced to death. That sentence was later reduced to life in prison. Then
in 1981, he admitted to killing fellow inmate David Jensen and was then sentenced to death for that murder. Creech was also recently identified as a murder suspect in a 50-year-old California cold case.
Now, we strive to give you more to every story. This is Idaho's first failed execution in state history, but it's not the first time it's happened in the country.
So according to the Death Penalty Information Center, since the early 1900s, there have been almost 9,000 executions. About 3% of them, or 276 executions, did not go as planned.
Sometimes the executions were carried out with changes, and sometimes the inmates survived. If we look at just the executions carried out with lethal injection, that percentage more than doubles. 7.1% of those attempted executions did not go according to plan.